بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Welcome you all to our new session. Inshallah ta'ala, we're still going over the proofs of Allah's existence, and today inshallah ta'ala we'll go into a different type of proof, which is the moral argument, al-burhan al-akhlaqi, the moral argument. So how to use morals as an argument against the atheist to prove Allah's existence subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we look to the position of the atheists, they say that we are a product of this materialistic world, right? It's atoms and molecules in action. Right? Atoms and molecules in action, yes, they may cause materialistic thing. But akhlaq, morals, it's a different realm. We cannot put akhlaq and morals into the same experiment like we do with the materialistic world, right? You cannot take a litmus test to check for sidq, truthfulness, or falsehood, or lying, or any type of behavior, right? So where did the akhlaq come from? In fact, if you go and ask an atheist, how do you identify good or bad? How can you know? Or how do you define goodness? How do you define badness or evil at the same time? Certainly, he will give you his personal opinion, right? This is good, this is bad. But if you're going to do that, then are we going to use you as a reference for the entire nation, where we evaluate every behavior based on your subjective understanding of good and bad? Is that logical? Definitely not. Definitely not. Then from where did the akhlaq come from? What is the cause or the reason behind the morals that we have and we carry and we share and we value within each other? We see nations all over the globe, they agree that lying is bad, truthfulness is good. Even if you go to the most corrupt person, he will say lying is bad. You lie to him, he will not like it, right? No matter how evil he is. Being truthful, he'll like it. So what makes all mankind agree that this is acceptable and this is not acceptable? Certainly there must be an absolute reference for these morals that people usually cherish and praise all over the globe. And additionally, if we are to see, for instance, in nature, that if anybody does anything, right, and that thing could be right, could be wrong, whom do we resort to, or whom do we use as a reference to evaluate this behavior? Is it good or bad? We, in reality, practically speaking, we see some behaviors in the West is not acceptable in the East, right? Because in nature, the atheists claim that socially we decide what's good and what's bad. It's like social consensus. People of a specific community, they say this is good and this is bad. They define good and bad. But in your community, what's good could be bad in another community, right? And this is seen today, clearly. Today, homosexuality in the West is good. It's fine. There is nothing wrong with it. In the East, it's evil. It's the worst of manners. So, to whom do we resort in defining behaviors that we see around us? We must have an absolute reference which all can refer to. Based on your subjective acceptance or inclination, we cannot decide that this is right and this is wrong. In fact, you as an atheist have no right to go and criticize a nation for not behaving like you do. Because according to you, behaviors and morals are subjective. So every nation can decide. As long as there is a consensus based on your understanding and acceptance, if there is a consensus among the Muslims that it is fine to marry 4 women, who are you to come and criticize this? Right? So when we marry 4 women, it is wrong according to Islam. But when they go around and play around with women as many as they want without any legal bond between a male and a female, they say it's fine. So look how extremes are here. Their position compared to ours. Who decides here? What happens these days, we see the West criticizing us, and in fact you see atheists criticizing us. But when you go to criticize them, they tell you what? It's all subjective. We agree, it's fine. But if it is subjective, then to us what we are upon is also subjective. This is our decision, this is our choice. Why do you criticize us in a such way? In fact, we have a statement for the famous Stephen Hawking. He said, the human race is just a chemical scum on a moderate-sized planet. This tells you what? That these people look at us as matters, materialistically. The issue of morals has no value to them. So this is how they look into this is the nature of an atheist. Yes, you may find an atheist who may hold some good morals, right? But you cannot find atheism preaching or holding morals. Atheism itself has nothing, as an ideology, is distinct from morals. Totally, completely. When you see a personal atheist being or behaving in a moral way, this tells you that within himself the innate is leading him to this. But if he is a true atheist, he should have no morals. It's survival of the fittest, according to them. No place for morals. Whatever is befitting my existence personally, it has precedence. I cherish it, I live for it, I do care less about whatever is other than that. So this is what atheism leads you to, practically speaking. Because according to the atheist, this existence is nothing but matter and energy working together, right? This is what their view is supposed to be. Because what they say that this entire universe is caused by coincidence. Atoms, molecules just came by coincidence and caused this entire existence, including living things. So to them, morals is not something materialistic. Therefore, based on their understanding of existence and that we are a product of natural selection causing this multitude of existence, therefore, where is the place of morals, right, in this formula? It should have no place because we are dealing with a materialistic world. So, looking to this, when an atheist comes to you and he tries to preach what's right and what's wrong, ask him, who defines what's right and what's wrong? What you claim is to be right is wrong for other communities. They may be outnumber you when it comes to as a population, that they're holding a different position towards some moral issues which differ from what you are preaching and try to convince others to do. So to make you understand how the issue of matter and energy in the mind of an atheist, and how when it comes to morals, it has no value, it has no solid ground in which they can claim that matter and energy produced morals or so. One example said by one of the du'at, if you write on your mobile an invitation to a friend, right? Calling him to come to your place for dinner, for instance. Of course, you'll value this message and you'll work hard to prepare for receiving this guest. You'll tell your wife, prepare the food, and you bring, all the necessary things to receive this guest. Like, what if you placed your mobile in your pocket and randomly you have the keys inside there starting bouncing against your mobile screen? So many letters, and all of a sudden, one statement within this multitude of, random letters, there is a statement of invitation to your friend. Imagine this. Will you look into this statement as something of value? Will you tell your wife, "No, get ready, we have guests coming because there is a message in my mobile saying that a friend is coming or I'm inviting someone"? You will show no value for this statement whatsoever. Well, this is what the atheists are saying about morals. When it is produced by matter and energy or chemical reaction done by atoms and molecules, and they cause or form any level of morals whatsoever. So seriously speaking, this issue, you can really put the atheist into a corner, because you guys believe in materialistic world. Where does morals fit? Especially when we see the issue of morals is almost of agreement throughout nations, that this is good, this is bad, right? Hence, how can you neglect all that? طيب. But our position as Muslims, of course, we say that morals are objective, meaning whether we existed or not, morals are there, right? And they are an issue in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had placed in us. So the source of morals is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He defined morals for us. And He implanted morals in us. We were brought into life with a level of morals that we carry. Throughout life, no matter how primitive a nation is, they still hold morals all the way. What is the cause of all that? Certainly, especially when you see that morals are of an agreement throughout nations, throughout communities, there must be one source for it. We Muslims say it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Unlike the atheists, of course, they try to come up with argumentations and justifications to make it look and sound as if it is acceptable. But in real, it is not. It is not. Because you as an atheist tell him, how can you convince me that materialistic existence, matter and energy can cause this morals that mankind carry, and not only carry but praise and cherish, subhanAllah. So to say and come to a conclusion, so let us first go over what is the position of the atheist when it comes to morals. To come and say that morals is subjective, meaning that we decide what is moral, what's not. This means that the most evil behavior can become acceptable if it is subjective, right? Like I said, the issue of homosexuality, it is the most described evil today after shirk. Yet it became acceptable in the West. In fact, now they are approaching incest. There are nations who also accepted bestiality as a accepted behavior, having sex with animals. This is what's going on in the West. And they said this is fine, as long as there is a consensus. But consensus between you and animal, how does that happen? I don't know. But this is what they're speaking, and how they justify these issues, subhanAllah. If you're going to say morals are subjective, then you have no right to criticize anyone. Why? Because it is subjective. We agreed that this behavior is fine, then this is acceptable based on your definition of how we define morals. So we need to be very much aware of this. When they tell you that morals are subjective, you can put him into corner that whatever you do, based on your agreement and consensus, became right, where there are other nations, to them what you're doing is not right. And it's their consensus. So you have no right to criticize in this case. So in this case, this behavior, it closes the door before any reformation. You cannot claim that you are preaching goodness or you want to call people to goodness, because what's good to you subjectively can be not good for others. So it'll be limited to you. You cannot preach anything whatsoever. Why? Because it is subjective. It's fine for you, for others it's not fine. Therefore, you are closing the door of reformation. You are blocking the road of trying to make the life of people better, morally speaking, right? Because your definition of morals is only limited to you or to your community. Other communities may not accept whatever moral values that you adopt and preach.
In this case,
so, this being said, if you see what Hitler did in Germany and the level of genocide that he had practiced, it was done by consensus by the German. So, morally speaking, you have no right to criticize Hitler because it was their agreement, their consensus that this behavior is fine. Because according to him, he was looking to in fact practice the Darwinian theory, which is survival of the fittest. He looked into his race and he said that my race is superior. It should prevail. It should lead. Those whom I am applying genocide against, they don't serve the survival of this superior race. That's why I have to get rid of them. And it was done by agreement by the German. So this is their understanding. This is their subjective consensus on this matter. Can you criticize them? Based on the atheistic point of view, you cannot. You should not. Because you say that akhlaq, morals are subjective. So to them, killing these people is fine. Meets their agreement in their definition of morals in this case. Also, this position of claiming that akhlaq, morals are subjective, it puts the atheist in a detestable contradiction. Meaning that how inconsistent you are to claim or to go and criticize 1.8 or 2 billion Muslims for behaving in a way which is not suitable to you. So if you're going to say akhlaq are subjective, you have no right. In fact, you are being inconsistent. You are against what you're preaching when you go and criticize the Muslims in some of the issues which you do not like. You go to the Muslim countries and say hijab is a mean of oppression to women. Women should not wear hijab. Who decides that? If akhlaq are subjective, right? In your community, hijab is not acceptable. But in these communities, they agreed that hijab is fine. In fact, it is praised for the woman to wear a hijab. So to go to an extreme and criticize the Muslims, you are contradicting yourself in your claim that morals are subjective. Did you get the point here, Ikhwan? Because when they say it is subjective, meaning that you have no right to criticize anyone, especially if you're going to criticize a huge community, a huge population who are practicing things which are not done in your community or against what you agree upon in your community. So This is a matter in which you can really put an atheist into a corner. That if akhlaq are subjective, then shut up. Don't criticize anyone. Keep your akhlaq for you. We keep our akhlaq for ourselves, and let everyone does whatever he wish. You have no right to criticize anyone. Also, when an atheist explains that our existence is materialistic, we are a product of matter working randomly. Like they claim that this existence came through randomness, right? In a way, this universe came together, and later on, after billions of years, life started on Earth. All that was done in a materialistic matter, randomly. Like I said, we say to them, okay, morals are beyond matter. Again, morals are beyond matter. Where did morals come from? Right? You cannot work in a laboratory and produce morals. Never. You can never do that. No matter how brilliant you are, good in biology, good in chemistry, you cannot produce through matters and energy and chemical reaction, molecular reaction, you cannot produce morals whatsoever. Morals is a different realm. Okay? So it is impossible for an atheist to explain to you morals as in a materialistic way. There is no way for him to explain that. Also, when another issue, when an atheist claims that the source of morals are us human beings. We decide morals. So, and negate that they are a product or a divine product from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, we say to him that for you to come with such claim that we people are we people are the source of akhlaq and not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we say to him, if you say people were atheists throughout time, in real people were believers throughout time. So we will see that people throughout time are believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have never traced a community throughout history that were atheists. Right? All throughout history, since the beginning of time, communities were always believers in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hence, they are what they have of morals is from their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in God's existence. We have never seen, if you claim that morals are a product of people and their existence, then there must be throughout time atheists. Right? Therefore, they decided throughout time that these are the akhlaq. But we have never seen throughout time that there were communities who are atheists. Atheism is a contemporary issue as a phenomenon. Before, it was an abnormal behavior. If there were cases back in history where people behaved and claimed that we are a product of coincidence and there is no God. But as communities in a whole, throughout history, throughout time, people were believers. Whether they were Muslims or non-Muslims, but they believed in Allah's existence and that He is the cause of their existence. Therefore, their morals were based on wahy, in their belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you're going to claim that morals are from people but not from God, and from atheists who do not believe in God, well, throughout history we did not see communities who are the default that they are atheists. In fact, the default is the opposite. They are believers in Allah. So if you're going to say this, we should see throughout history atheists surviving and behaving and dealing with issues in a way that we see, they cause morals, they decide morals. But if in nature, in real, we see that, no. Since the beginning of time, communities were believers in God. And the issue of atheism is an abnormal phenomenon, completely. So, did you get this point, Ikhwa? It's in brief. If you're going to claim that people cause morals, well, throughout time, there were no atheist communities. It were all believing communities. And they had morals. The source was God. Right? To you, the issue of morals, if you're going to claim that since our existence, we had akhlaq, morals, and the source is us, well, us meaning atheists, we say to him, you have no reference. You have no reference to throw such claim, because throughout history there were no atheists whatsoever. It was the opposite, believers that we had. Another matter is that atheists try to justify morals in a utilitarian way, meaning that if things are of benefit to us, it's better to have it. So today in the West, they say to bring women outside into the labor forces and not to stay at home and take care of children, it is of benefit to us. That's why it's acceptable. And try to preach women to leave her babies and children and go out and work and abandon her role as a very productive member in a family and go out. Why? It makes the economical circle works wider, brings back more money. Of course, more money to the elite, because at the end, they want consumers. When you bring the woman outside, she makes money, she'll buy more things with her money. So the entire thing is dependent upon getting wealth or making greater wealth for the elite, while the low-level people are used and abused, and they are caused to neglect their families, the lifestyle which is praised and people usually should cherish, and force the woman to leave her role and go out, and at the end, for the few to benefit. Right? And what's ironic is that the woman leaves her house to go out and work, and she brings another woman and pay her a salary to take care of her child or children. So see how contradicting and how ironic it is, subhanAllah. But again, when these people, they say it's a matter of how much benefit I'm going to get. Therefore, if this is of benefit to me, then this is good. If it's not of benefit to me, it is bad. So based on utility, how much I am going to benefit in this case. If this is the case, we say to them, well, there are some wrong practices which are beneficial. Stealing is beneficial, right? To go and steal, it's beneficial to me. I make money. I have wealth now. I have more wealth now. But it is dispraised by even the atheists themselves, right? So not necessarily based on your claim that whatever is of benefit is correct. We say there are so many wrong practices, it can be of benefit to the few, yet it is dispraised by everyone. So this qaida, this law that you are claiming to be as a reference for us to decide what's moral and what's not, it's not acceptable. Because if you're going to use the issue of being utilitarian, that if it is of benefit to me, it is good. If it's not of benefit to me, it is evil and bad. We say there are there are issues that can be harmful, right, to us. Yet we do it, and we are praised for doing it. Don't we see sometimes maybe the mother will put her life on stake to save a child of hers, right? Or a father will put his life on stake to save his entire family. So he's not getting any benefit. In fact, he's harming himself to save the family. This is not what natural selection is all about. This is not what the Darwinian theory is all about. Darwinian theory is about survival of the fittest. Be strong. The weak should have no place to continue life. So if you're going to lean on this matter, then we say there are issues of benefit, but it is by consensus wrong, not acceptable, like stealing. Okay? So this is one issue. Another issue, when we disagree with the atheist, it's not how to decide what morals are. It's not how to decide what morals are, but how morals started. How morals started. What is the cause of morals? Like you say, you atheists are claiming that we are a product of materialistic world. Molecule reactions, atom reactions caused our existence. Moral is not caused by chemical reactions or molecular reactions. So our disagreement with the atheist, it is an ontological disagreement. The existence of moral, but not how moral started. It's not the nature of morals. That's why when you go into debate with the atheist, in this specific topic, he tries to pull your leg from the ontological nature of akhlaq, morals, to the epistemological nature of akhlaq. Episteme here means that the how-to of the akhlaq. The deals with knowledge about akhlaq. But this is not the difference between us and them. The difference is that how akhlaq started. How did we come to an agreement that this is wrong all over the globe? This is right. Because especially, like I said, even if there is a level of corruption in the West when defining some of the akhlaq matters, yet still there are some issues of agreement by consensus that lying is haram or wrong. Truthfulness is good. Harming children is bad. This is by agreement. Killing for no cause is bad. Injustice is bad. To do injustice to anyone is bad. By agreement. Who decided this? Who made us come to a conclusion that this is the right way, that this is right and this is wrong? So when we speak to an atheist, he will try to pull your leg toward the nature of the akhlaq. Okay? What is right and what is wrong? This is not where my disagreement with you is. It is who caused the akhlaq in the first place? Where did the akhlaq come from? Based on your understanding to the universe, it is materialistic. Right? Molecules and atom at action. Akhlaq has nothing to do with molecules. It has nothing to do with atoms whatsoever. Where did it come from? Why do we all agree all over the globe since the beginning of time that truthfulness is good, lying is bad? How did this come about? So pay attention to this. And like I said again, also the issue of akhlaq and morals. Of course, the atheist position is that the Darwinian mechanism is the reason behind our existence, behind life, and so on, right? And based on their understanding that they say Darwinism is built upon survival of the fittest, right? Whomever is strong, he shall survive, and his qualities, characteristics will be transmitted to the next generations, and he will survive. The weaker creature will not survive, and his qualities will diminish eventually. So we say to them, morals does not fit in the theory survival of the fittest. We don't see people behaving on earth following this qaida, this rule, survival of the fittest, right? If this is the case, we'll see every person caring for himself, even if he's going to harm the others, kill the others, rob the others, do evil to the others because I want to survive. He's not behaving in a such manner. In fact, you see a behavior which defies survival of the fittest. Like I said, a father putting his life at stake to save his family. Don't we see like over YouTube acts of kindness? There is a social experiment for acts of kindness, and everyone comments that this is a praised behavior. They like that, right? You'll see sometimes a person saving someone, a clip of a person saving someone and putting himself into harm. A child hanging on a building is about to fall, and a youth climbing the building, putting his life at stake to save that child. This is not survival of the fittest. This is against survival of the fittest. So we say to them, based on you, morals work against survival of the fittest. If you are going to say that we are product of Darwinian mechanism, survival of the fittest, then, well, we behave in a way which is against this principle. Totally. So this is their position. And this is how contradicting it looks when they claim that morals in an atheistic world can have value. We say to them, morals have no place in a materialistic world. Should have no place, especially if you're going to deny Allah's existence. And you claim that atheism, it's an acceptable way of life, while the attendance and the availability of akhlaq in our life, in our existence, it does not fit in your understanding of life whatsoever. But when it comes to our position and how to respond in details about their claim, in addition to what I've said, let us go over these points. First, we say morals objectively exist. Morals objectively exist in our life. Like we said, throughout time and places, we must have a common source for this morals. If you're going to say morals are subjective, then what is your reference in criticizing or evaluating the behavior of others? Is it you, your community? Well, other communities who may outnumber you, they are against your behavior and what you claim that to be good and right. So we must have an objective moral. We must have absolute morals in which we can go back to and use as a reference for what's right and what's wrong. In your case, if you're going to say it's subjective, then you have no right to criticize anyone whatsoever. Also, when we say that this source must be a common source for all mankind, then it must have an absolute ability, knowledge, and wisdom. So, for the existing being who decides morals, who instilled morals in us, he must be all knowledgeable, all able, all wise, subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why you cannot claim that it is subjective, because we must have one source, and that source must be all able, all knowing, all wise, the exalted he is. So again, and also to deny such issue, having an absolute source for us or reference for morals, this means we can never use a reference for morals. For the atheist position, for them to claim that morals are subjective, then we cannot refer to anyone whatsoever that he is our source for morals. We should evaluate every behavior on earth based on that reference. In their case, there is no one reference. It is a matter of communities who decide on their own what's right and what's wrong. Again, like I said, we know and realize that harming children, practicing injustice, transgressing, and lying are absolutely bad, right? And it's beyond feeling, social influence, or even our upbringing. If we grow up in a place where we have corrupt parents, we see within ourselves, even if our parents were lying and behaving in a way which is wrong and not acceptable, right? And that child grew up in that environment. You see that child in many cases not accepting some of these behaviors. If you lie to him, or his parents were lying and they taught him to lie, but if you lie to him, he will not accept that. He will not accept that, right? What led him to this? From where did he get this? It's innate at work. He's innate at work, because morals are part of the human innate. It's part of the human innate disposition. So the issue of right and wrong, it's against even what could be a social accepted behavior. You see, people in some cases do not accept this. You may see, like today, how the Israelis are behaving against our beloved Palestinian brothers and sisters. By consensus, to them this is fine, right? But if you apply it to them, they'll say it's not fine. It's not fine. Again, who decides this? It's subjective. And you see sometimes some of their children, some of these Israelis who are doing this genocide, are not accepting this. They were taught from day one, they were raised, their entire upbringing is that it is fine to kill the Amaleks, the Palestinians. It is in their books, taught this. But you see, children are not accepting this. They say, their innate says, killing others without justification is not acceptable. So morals, in many cases, is even against your own upbringing. So where did this come from? This speaks clearly that it's not subjective. There is something within us that led us to behave, to accept or not accept some of the moral practices. So these issues, we feel and sense that it is almost hardwired within us. This morals matters. Like the innate, it is part of us. Morals are part of the innate disposition that we hold and carry. So we feel that it is part of us. Truth, justice, trust, sacrifice, altruism are beyond and against our self-interest. Sometimes my interest is to behave in a such way, right? And because of altruism, I give up my benefit, my rights for someone else. Like when you see some of the Sahaba in one of the battles, they were harmed severely, about to die. And the Sahabi would come and bring water for one of the harmed, injured Sahabi to drink. He said, go give it to my other brother who is also injured. And the second Sahabi says, go give it to the other brother who is injured. And then he went back to the first one, they were all dead, subhanAllah. So everyone is giving something which is of benefit for him and sacrificing for the sake of to save his own fellow brother. This is against the position of the Malahida, the atheists, right? It is against your self-interest. What makes you behave against your self-interest? Based on the issue of survival of the fittest, you should look for your own interest. That what should care for you. This is why if you see an atheist who accepts the atheistic worldview, this should be their behavior, their own interest, and hell with everyone else. This is why atheism leads to the corruption and downfall of man existence, if you're going to adopt their way as a lifestyle. Because what counts at the end? My interest. So the nature of atheism, this is what leads to. Although they may come and say to you, no, we are humanitarian. We have feelings for the poor, for the needy. We say to them, this is not what atheism is preaching. This is your innate speaking out. If you're a true atheist, this is against survival of the fittest. Totally. So your feelings, your nice behavior is not from adopting the atheistic worldview. No. Atheism does not lead to this. Atheism leads to self-interest and hell with everyone else. So this is why it is very dangerous. In fact, when we see that atheists were in charge or in having authority over countries, what happened? Great massacres. Stalin, Lenin, and their likes look to the level of massacres. People in millions were massacred during their times. This was never the case with any authority who were believers. Although there might be some believers who are corrupt, working against the teachings of the religion, but it did not reach that level in which these people did so much, damage to human existence. So adopting such worldview and try to apply it to mankind, this is what's going to lead to. When they get into power, they force you to accept their lifestyle, their understanding, or you have no place to survive with them or exist with them. That's why when we see the atheists and communists in power, you see bloodshed shed like nothing compared to before throughout history. And also, like I said earlier, subjectively, justice can be good in one place and bad in another. Okay, if you're going to say morals are defined subjectively, what is justice here could be injustice there, right? So what is the way out? We need to have one standard for all mankind. This is right, this is wrong. Atheistic point of view, no, it's subjective. Justice is right here, there it's not right. People decide on their own. Every community will have their own definitions of morals. They have their own moral code, which is not reasonable, which is not acceptable, of course. And like in the case of egalitarianism, when in the West they claim that both males and females must have equal rights, right? This is the atheistic point of view, that women and men are the same, but they are biologically different. In terms of capabilities are different. That's why we see sports that men do have more followers than sports that women do, right? When you talk about like football or soccer, you don't see people following women playing soccer. It's against the interest of the masses, right? Why? This kind of sports requires, strength and being high skills and really be strong in order to perform such practices and sports. Women in nature are not like that. If you're going to put women into males sports, the sport industry will collapse. The sport, it will collapse. And this is why to claim that both are equal, this is not fair. This is not fair. We see today, in reality in the West, when a woman gets pregnant, she gets a what is it called? The maternity leave, right? Maternity leave. But this is not fair. It's not fair. Why a man cannot get such a leave? When his wife is pregnant, he gets maternity leave. Yani. So still themselves are not applying the issue of equality between males and females. We ourselves as Muslims, we say men and women are not equal. They are in nature different. They are biologically different. But we have roles. We have roles for men, roles for women. And this is the most befitting position and situation. So for you, atheists, to come and claim that we should be all equal, we say this is unfair for the women. and in many cases you are doing injustice to the women. To come and say that she should bear the same, hardship that men goes through. One friend of mine told me, he was a student in France. He said, one time I saw a pregnant woman working in construction on a high building outside, painting or fixing things. For God's sake, is this the right place for her to be there in that situation? And are you expecting from her to do the same job like a strong man who is not pregnant? Definitely not. Definitely not. So this is what equality is going to lead to. You should bear the same task like a man do. There is no difference, according to them, between a male and a female. So we say to them, this matter, claiming that both are equal, is against even Darwinism. It's against Darwinism. In the animal kingdom, we see the female animal is with the children, right? The male is going out, bringing food for the family and doing his hard work. So this is against Darwinism, which is your position in explaining to us our existence, to come and claim that both males and females are equal, psychologically, mentally, physically, biologically. This is not true, of course. Another matter, we see that when we came into existence, we came with an initial level of morals. We did not come out from day one and then we decided this is right and this is wrong. No, we came in, we grow up, whether you grew up in the East, in the West, in the Andes, in the Amazons, North Hemisphere, South Hemisphere, wherever you are there with a level of morals within you. That lying is bad, truthfulness is good, caring for children, taking care of your family. There are values within us. Where did this come from? Who placed them in us? There must be a supreme being who caused this in us, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to be very much aware that this is a strong argument to be used against the atheists who claim that morals are subjective. Because the only mean for him to define morals is to say it is subjective. And he cannot tell you that it is a product of molecules and atoms, like we human beings. Every human being have heart. Therefore, every human being have morals. It is a product of our existence. It is a product of the Darwinian, mechanism of our existence. We say to them, no, morals is not materialistic. We cannot produce in a laboratory morals. Yes, you can produce reaction between atoms and molecules, and you can work with the human body. No matter how hard you try to bring out from this human body some morals, you cannot, because it's not in your hand. And if you're going to go and claim that it is subjective, then you mention all these arguments for him, right? So this is why these people can be defeated easily through this argument, the argument of morals. Makes sense, inshallah, ikhwan? Great, barakallah fikum. Any questions, any things to add? Feel free to.
The ayah in وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ, can this be the reference to prove that Allah has placed the morals in ourselves? Or is any other ayah?
It talks about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, only. But like we say, the issue of innate that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed in us, part of it is the akhlaq, the innate disposition, like the natural instinct, how the child he sucks the milk, how an animal behaves in a specific way, although from day one of birth he behaves in a specific way that shows no prior training on that issue. yet he behaves in a such way which shows that he had within him a natural instinct. So the natural instinct, the fitra, the having the primary logical reasoning, that knowing that the part is smaller than the whole, and the law of non-contradiction, all these issues, principles, are part of our fitra. And part of the fitra is the morals that we carry. But that ayah, it praises Muhammad, peace be upon him, and that akhlaq that he had is reached optimum. That no one is beyond the akhlaq of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. So it is a specific praisal to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the fitra is a reference. The fitra as a whole, that the ayat talks about al-fitra, hadith talks about the fitra. Also, the akhlaq is part of the fitra that we have.
You can use that hadith that I was sent to perfect the best character.
إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. Yes. Yes, but in this case he's talking about the akhlaq that the kuffar of Quraysh, the people of Quraysh, were having. That they had akhlaq with them. They used to help the one who's in need and understand for the poor and all that. So they had the level of akhlaq with them. Right? And he was there, he said, I only came to perfect and complete the akhlaq that you carry and have. This can be used as a reference for that people in general, they have a level of akhlaq within them, right? So it can be used in this way. But the hadith talks about Quraysh in specific. That Quraysh, when I was sent to you specifically, you people have a level of akhlaq, but I'm working on completing this akhlaq and making it more perfect in this case.
This is a small story that just recently Sheikh Uthman shared with us about this subjective versus objective thing. There's an area in the western side, which country I don't know, Bedlock area something.
O-block.
O-block or Bedlock is something area.
In the South Chicago.
South
Okay.
Chicago. So it is a place as such that even the white people don't want to go there because of the crime rates and everything. But Sheikh Uthman, what he tried to go, he went there, he put a table, and he taught them about Islam and everything. And later, fast forward what happened, people started accepting Islam and everything. And generally, statistically, the crime rates went down.
Subhanallah.
What the Americans were doing is they were just leaving that place just as it is, as what was happening. But what the Muslims did is, and approach that is, they tried to correct the morals, what they had, what they thought. It was a place where even the police don't go inside until they hear a fire gun or something, gunfires. SubhanAllah, Islam really teaches morals, and that is the thing. And they have Jama'ah, Friday prayer, all those things because of the morals of Islam that is from Allah.
True. If you look also into the American prisons, and they say that Islam is growing greatly within the American prisons, and the American incels are the most disciplined. Even they say the brotherhood of the Muslims in the American prisons is so strong. Although they are minorities compared to the Christians within the prison system in America, everyone fears them. They say because they stand for each other. And they are well disciplined. They pray 5 times a day. They pray Jum'ah together, and people were attracted even to them. So why this was not the case with Christianity? Because the foundations of Christianity is contradictory. It does not make sense. God is one and He's three in the same time. And the issue of original sin that we carry, the sin of Adam alayhi salam, that's why we need to have Jesus, the Son of God, sacrificed in order to free ourselves from this inherited sin. It does not make sense to many of the Christians. That's why Christianity is abandoned in the West. But we see people attracted to Islam. Aqidah is so simple, straightforward. You don't have to twist your mind in order to understand the Aqidah al-Islamiyah. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand Aqidah. You are a nomad in a Sahara, in the desert, living a very primitive life in a tent. Islam makes sense to you. You don't need somebody who is so sophisticated to explain to you what Islam is all about. So the Aqidah is so simple, acceptable. The moral values carried by Islam is so clear, so rewardable, and you do little nice acts of kindness and you get a reward like no one else, subhanAllah. A woman, a prostitute from Bani Israel who was walking in a desert and she got thirsty and she had to find a well, climbed all the way down, drank from the water. When she came out, she saw a very thirsty dog about to die. She said, this dog has gone through what I have gone through. She went back again and climbed into the well, filled her leather socks with water, and came up and fed the dog. Allah forgave her for this act. Kind to an animal, not to a human being. Kind to an animal. So look to the level of, reward that Islam not only preaches goodness, but rewards you like abundantly for practicing this akhlaq. So that's why people are attracted to Islam. When they see the al-ithar, the altruism, when you give precedence to the safety and security of others over yourself in so many cases. This akhlaq, you don't see it practiced in the West. If you invite someone for a coffee, you find him in the street, tell him, okay, buy yourself coffee, he starts worshipping you. Wallahi, they're amazed of the akhlaq of the Muslims when they show kindness to them or help them in any means. You give them $5 for me. Why do you give it to me? It is a strange behavior to them.
Sure.
To us, it's nothing. It's a daily behavior. Yani. It's something we practice everywhere. Yani. But to them, this is something. It's a strange phenomenon to come and behave in such a manner. This is why Islam is doing the marketing on its own, without us, calling people to it. Just by opening an internet website, reading the Quran, they get attracted to Islam, subhanAllah. Yes, Islam is a way of life. That's why once it is presented to everyone, it makes sense. It resonates, and they accept it openly, subhanAllah. That's why we see people coming to Islam without us even preaching them, without anyone inviting them to Islam, subhanAllah.
But what's happening is, Sheikh, because of our hatelessness, sometimes the Muslims, they tell that, okay, you're doing right, let it be with you. You think that's wrong, let it be with you. You don't correct me.